learning to say no and not care. And okay, that's my moment right now. What's my next moment? My next
Right.
moment, it's going to be better.
Self-care is a very, very, very important thing, and people don't understand what it means.
We stress about trying to do tomorrow's things today.
Hi.
Hi!
Anyway, thank you, Asha. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's really nice to see you. We hear you so much.
Yeah, sorry
You
about
know,
that. Being your ears assaulted in the morning. Sorry about that.
and it's fantastic. Some of all your shows are really fantastic. And what personally for me, it's the way you make everything. I mean, it's fun. It's lots of happy things. Share a little bit about yourself. Asha,
Where do you want me to start, Doc?
how have you been managing this whole, the pandemic thing? Things have settled down much now. Things are getting
Yeah.
so much better, and it's amazing. I'm seeing people in the shops.
I think it was a real challenging year for me, purely because it was the year that I got very, very sick. I'd been sick, getting sicker sort of for the whole, I guess, year prior, but I always put it down to stress, and people don't speak about this openly, but like perimenopause and menopause is hell for women. It is a nasty sort of phase that you have to navigate, and if only women talked about it openly, we'd all be able to get help from people we need, right? So there was kind of that in the picture, and I was like, it must be just that, it just must be that. And then sort of the pandemic hit, and I started to get sicker and sicker. I was diagnosed mid-year only, when I was actually really quite critical of having Graves, and I was in a really severe spiral. And it was around the same, and so I've been feeling unwell, and we had this pandemic and how to navigate. I'm a single mom. I had my kid at home. I was like, what am I going to do? The world sort of seemed to sort of stop and pause. I had my dog started having seizures out of the blue, so it was kind of navigating my ill health, and I kept breaking my toes. I didn't know what was wrong, so there was me hobbling around. So that was a pretty sort of very difficult time for me to sort of navigate. And my kiddo, who's he just turned 14, so he's this teenager, and suddenly social life stops, and all the problems that come with sort of isolating, and the kids not being able to be with their friends and spending an inordinate amount of time online. And so it was just a really weird place. And I had some pretty sort of dark moments where I was literally on the floor in the bathroom just crying my eyes out in the shower, because my son was like, go and have a cry in the shower, Mum, it'll make you feel better. I'm like, you know what, I'll be back in a minute. So I'd sit in the shower having a good, get it all out. But I think the only thing I could do was deal with one thing at a time. And I think in therapy, like, I was coaching, I had a coaching practice. I was coaching clients, and I used to preach that left, right, and center. One thing at a time. This idea we should be able to juggle everything, multitask, or we should be able to handle everything is just a complete joke. It's a farce. We deal with one thing at a time. We may skip very fast between them, but we've got to handle one thing at a time. And so that's kind of where I was at. It would be like, I'm freaking miserable. I can't cope with anything. Okay, that's my moment right now. What's my next moment? My next moment is going to be better. My next moment is going to be, oh, darn it, I've got to provide food somehow again. It's dinner time. Dogs need whatever, So when you kind of go step by step, and what am I dealing with right now, it just kind of takes the pressure off the anxiety that comes from the what ifs of the future, or any kind of weight that you're dealing with from sort of in the past, where I guess things are changing and you kind of haven't quite let go of that, but you're not quite in the future yet. Do you know what I mean? That in between. So yeah.
Wow. Sounds like you went through a lot, yeah, over the year. Sorry to hear.
It was crazy. And then I just started back on one of my biggest loves, radio, in January. So I was only about maybe 65-70% better when I sort of started that. So that was another thing, I took on board to sort of juggle. And so it's been this very interesting learning curve of learning to say no and not care, and not, this idea of having to be positive all the time became even more importantly rubbish to me. I always believed that, you know, being helpful was better for you than trying to be false positive. But I really had to sort of take on board everything that I was teaching and just kind of, you know, finish what I was doing for work and get the bare minimum done and then call it a day and go, that's all I can cope with today. I'm getting into bed right now and I'm sorry, can't do anything more, you know, self-care.